Oh, Miss Shaida, our group will present a report about the world. In today's world, the Russian-Ukrainian war and the Gaza conflict have become international focus. They are not only military and political contests, but also involve profound philosophical issues such as justice, morality, freedom, and humanity. The causes of this war are complex and far-reaching, not only reshaping the global landscape, but also triggering thinking about the bottom line of human morality. In extreme environments, has human nature been annihilated, or can moral values still be upheld today? Our group will analyze the causes and impacts behind them from five philosophical viewpoints: existentialism, cultural relativism, just world theory, authoritarianism and absolutism, and virtue ethics. Hi, Niheng. In your opinion, how do cultural perspectives shape the way different countries justify and respond to modern conflict like the Russia-Ukrainian war and the Israel-Palestinian conflict?
Thank you, Weichen. In my opinion, I think that cultural relativism is one of the important philosophy perspective that related to these topics. It is because cultural relativism has influenced the ethical justification and international responses to modern warfare. Cultural relativism is the idea that moral values, ethics, and beliefs are shaped by cultural context and should be understood within their own cultural framework rather than judged by external standards. It means that we should not judge other culture by our own standard, that is, what is right or wrong. Instead, we should go to understand other culture before we make the judgment. For real life example, in the Russia and Ukraine war, the two fractions which is Western democracies and those countries which support Russia. Several countries, including the United Kingdom, United States, and Canada, support Ukraine. These countries think that this war is seen as a humanitarian crisis, justifying aid, sanctions, and military assistance to Ukraine. But in other way, North Korea and China supports Russia in the Russia and Ukraine war due to their shared strategic, political, and also economic interests. Another example is Israel and Palestine conflict. The two main factions, which is pro-Israel country and pro-Palestine country. For the pro-Israel country, most Western countries that support Israel include the United States, United Kingdom, Germany, France, and also Australia. For pro-Palestine countries, nations in the Middle East and North Africa, such as Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and Iran, support Palestine. They support Palestine due to the same culture, religious, and regional solidarity. And that's all. Pass it back to Wei Chen.
Thank you, Li Heng. So, the next step, can you tell us how can just war theory balance ethical principles with the realities of modern warfare, where powerful nations and non-state actors many manipulate its principles for their own interests?
Just war theory is a set of ethical and legal frameworks that aim to reduce the harm of war and defend human dignity. Its origins can be traced back to Cicero and was later systematized by Thomas Aquinas, who proposed the three principles of just cause, legitimate authority, and legitimate intention. Modern brochures further developed it and incorporated it into the framework of international law. The UN Charter clearly defines the right to self-defense and collective security mechanism, reflecting the core of the theory. The theory requires that wars must meet conditions such as just cause, legitimate authority, and last resort, and that the Geneva Conventions must be followed to protect civilians during wartime. and that war crimes must be tried by the International Criminal Court (ICC) after the war. The abuse of just war theory by major powers in the name of special military operations highlight the distortion of rules by powerful forces. Just war theory provides ethical guidance for modern welfare, but is subject to real politics, technological changes, and challenges from non-state actors.
Thank you, Narissa. And the next, hey, Leroy. In addition to the two philosophical theories mentioned above, I would like to ask you, how does the virtual ethics interpret the moral impact of war on individuals, and in what way do physical bravery and moral courage shape ethical character in wartime situations? Can you provide an example too?
All right, so basically, virtue ethics establishes development of our moral character and teaching virtue principles such as courage, justice, and temperance. It is focused rather than basic ethics on either rules or consequences. The virtue ethics philosophy disagrees with cultural relativism by asserting both universality of valuable virtues for human well-being and its rejection of societal norms as morality creators. War creates the common public perception of being a destructive power, which develops brutal ways along with hate and ethical unconsciousness. The concept of war allows people to prove their moral strength by showing fortitude and integrity and enduring strength under difficult situations according to the virtue ethics. A person's moral character will degrade from war if they give into violence and ethical decline, but it will stay strong if individuals choose duty and ethical leadership while making some sacrifices. War demonstrates its moral strength through two different types of courage: physical bravery and moral courage that enables people to remain just in the face of danger and possible risks. During the Mariupol defense battle, Ukrainian soldiers maintained absolute bravery through months of resistance to extensive Russian forces, which ultimately helped some residents to escape. Thank you.
Thank you. After that, Manhong, how do the opposing principles of utilitarianism and absolutism influence military decisions in modern warfare? And what are their ethical implications of civilian protection on human rights?
The application of utilitarianism and absolutism is also integral in war. These two are often at opposition. Let's start with the concept of these two doctrines. The concept of utilitarianism is consequentialist oriented. This concept is more focused on getting there at all costs, even at the expenses of anyone. The concept of absolutism is more human rights oriented. This conception implies doing everything on principle and fulfilling enough moral obligations not to violate anything related to human rights. In war, on the other hand, utilitarianism and absolutism can directly or indirectly affect the direction of the war and military decisions. Utilitarian decisions making can lead to more aggressive military behavior on both sides of the battle. Slaughtering prisoners of war and hostage, harming civilians, and even indiscriminately minute fire coverage just to achieve the outcome of the world. Absolute teams, on the other hand, focus on human rights issues such as utilitarian decisions making that really violate the idea of human rights. Absolutist military decisions would be more focused on the protection of civilians and would not harm the innocents, moving towards the concept of minimum casualties and peace. For example, reason in modern wars are the Russia-Ukraine war and the Israel-Palestinian conflict, both of which involve utilitarian military decisions by the aggressors side that the segregated civilian live. From the perspective of the rest of the world, this is an absolutist perspective that condemns both sides of the battle and support those who have taken refuge.
Human home. And in a last, hey, Kyle, how does existentialism help us understand the loss of individuality, more responsibility, and the dehumanization of work? And how can it guide us toward reclaiming agency and compassion in times of conflict?
Thank you, Wei-Shen. Now I will explain the profound impacts of extinction on humanity in time of war. A period when the discussion about life, freedom, and responsibility are thrust and put us by extreme pragmatists. Albert Camus argued that war is extreme manifestation of horrific absurdity in the chaos of conflicts. The unique value of the individual is erupted, reduced to a mere statistic in a vast war machine. Whether it is in the Russia-Ukraine conflict or the Israel-Palestine struggle, both soldiers and civilians are robbed of their individuality, their right to live as autonomous beings terrified on the altar of nation honor. James Bond centered in his explanation of self-discretion in being and nothingness, showing us that individuals of often deny their own freedom by scrubbing to redefine roles, be it as a soldier, pirate, or believer. This related to external labels enables them to seek moral responsibility instead of acknowledging that every act of violence is a choice. Many hide behind the guilt of duty, normalizing authorities and perpetuating a circle of dehumanization. Simon felt the deepest our understanding in the second sect by explaining how reducing a group to the status of other treat them of their identity and dignity. In modern conflict, this objectification manifests the stereotype of entire people. For example, labeling Palestine story as terrorist or dismissing the complexity of Russian society in favor of branding it as merely an agent of progression not only in our individual suffering but also future hatred and violence. In conclusion, existentialism offers us a powerful lens to examine the human condition and means the honor of work. It challenges us to reclaim our agency and confess the absurdity that brought impose on our existence by recognizing our freedom to choose and our responsibility to uphold human dignity. We can break the circle of violence and work toward a future when individuality and compassion prevail even in the dark times. Thank you.
You can add. So, in conclusion, the Gaza war and the Russia-Ukrainian war highlight the moral dilemmas of modern warfare, forcing all sides to balance justice, responsibility, and suffering. Different ethical perspectives offer insight but have limitations. Virtual ethics focus on personal morality, while existentialism explores the absurdity of war. Cultural relativism explain difference but risk subjectivity, and just war theory set rules that are difficult to apply. Authoritarianism weighs consequences but may sacrifice individuals, whereas absolutism follows strict principles but struggle with reality. By combining these perspectives, we can better understand world's ethical challenges and work toward a more just human peace. Thank you very much.